Ubisoft set July 9, 2026 as the date it plans to sell Black Flag back to you. That is the first useful fact. The second is the price. Ubisoft is selling a standard edition for €59.99 or dollars, a deluxe edition for $69.99, and a collector's edition for $199.99. The third fact is the content split. Ubisoft is presenting this as a rebuilt single-player version of Black Flag with technical and gameplay improvements. At the same time, reporting around the announcement says multiplayer and the original DLC are not included. The fourth fact is the business context. Reuters linked the remake to Ubisoft's larger financial trouble after its profit warning and rough stretch. So this release is not just a game launch. It is also Ubisoft trying to prove it can still move attention, money, and trust. That is the story in sequence, and sequence matters here. Too many videos turn this kind of announcement into trailer worship, where the viewer gets mood, music, and 50 dramatic words before getting one useful detail. This story does not need that treatment. It needs order. A fan-favorite game is coming back on a confirmed date, at a confirmed price, with confirmed upgrades, reported content cuts, and a very obvious reason why Ubisoft picked this moment to revive it. Put those facts in a straight line, and the whole thing stops looking complicated. Ubisoft is not reviving Black Flag because it had a sudden attack of generosity. If you think gaming coverage needs more facts and less crap, drop a like and subscribe, because it genuinely helps the video get pushed further. Ubisoft is reviving Black Flag because Black Flag is one of the safest things it owns. That is the takeaway. That safety matters because Black Flag is not some forgotten side project. It is one of the most popular Assassin's Creed games. Players remember Edward Kenway. Players remember the pirate setting. Players remember the ship combat. Players remember it as one of the entries that was easy to like and easy to sell. That history explains why this remake feels calculated. Ubisoft did not rummage through the catalog and roll dice. Ubisoft picked a game that already had goodwill attached to it. That is not a theory. That is the obvious business read. The takeaway is simple: this remake is a safe bet, chosen by a company that badly needs one. Now move to the upgrade side, because the upgrade side is real. Ubisoft is not selling this as a bare port with shinier water. The company says Resynced includes upgraded visuals, improvements to combat, added missions, extra story material, stealth changes, parkour adjustments, reworked naval systems, and performance options including 60 frames per second on consoles. Those are real claims, and a proper breakdown should say them clearly. This is not just old Black Flag wearing a fresh resolution sticker. Ubisoft is trying to sell a version that sounds mechanically and visually improved. That all sounds good. It is also exactly how Ubisoft wants the conversation framed. Because Ubisoft is not just showing you better graphics and smoother systems. Ubisoft is asking you to focus on those upgrades long enough to ignore what got removed. That is the bridge that matters. The improvements may be real, but they also function as cover. The stronger the sales pitch around visuals, combat, and stealth becomes, the easier it is for marketing to push the audience away from the missing content question and back toward nostalgia. That is the takeaway. The upgrade list is part of the sales shield. That is why the missing content becomes the center of the story. Reports tied to the reveal say multiplayer and the original DLC are not included. Once that is the package, the conversation changes immediately. The question is no longer whether the remake looks better. Of course it looks better. The real question becomes why a modern-priced remake of a loved game is arriving with less total content than people remember from the older release. That is not a side complaint. That is the main complaint. Players are being asked to judge the release as a stronger single-player product, while accepting that parts of the older package are gone. Some people will accept that trade. Some will not. But nobody should act like this reaction came from nowhere. When content disappears, people notice. That is the takeaway. This is also why words like faithful and streamlined cause problems. Publishers love words like faithful, focused, streamlined, and enhanced, because those words sound careful and positive. In reality, they are often just nice ways to say something got cut, and you are supposed to feel good about it anyway. Faithful to what? Streamlined by removing what? Focused compared to which older version? Enhanced in ways that matter to whom? Those are the real questions. Ubisoft does not get to dodge them, just because the trailer has expensive lighting and polished editing. If multiplayer is gone and DLC is gone, say it plainly. Do not bury subtraction under calm language, and expect people not to notice. That is the takeaway. Polished wording does not change what is missing. Then there is the price, and the price is where the whole thing gets harder to defend. $59.99 for standard, $69.99 for deluxe, and $199.99 for collector tells you exactly how Ubisoft values this nostalgia. This is not cautious preservation. This is premium reselling. Ubisoft is taking one of its most loved older games, rebuilding it, trimming part of the older package, and selling it at full modern remake pricing, with premium tiers stacked on top. That is already enough to make people squint. Then the collector's edition pushes it further. At nearly 200, the message is not modesty. The message is that Ubisoft believes Black Flag can still pull premium money on name alone. And that is where the irony sharpens. This is not just a high price. It is a high price attached to a package that, according to current reporting, offers less total legacy content than the older version. That is why the collector angle belongs inside the main pricing argument. It is not a side note. It is the loudest version of the same point. The takeaway is simple: Ubisoft is charging premium money while asking buyers to accept a reduced package. And if those prices already feel aggressive, here is the bigger reason Reuters is paying attention to a pirate remake. Reuters is not watching because pirate games suddenly became the center of the industry. Reuters is watching because Ubisoft needs this thing to work. This is where the business context matters most. Ubisoft has had a rough stretch. Reuters linked Black Flag Resynced to that wider financial pressure, which means this announcement is easy to read, as both product strategy and damage control. Fans may want a strong pirate remake because they liked Black Flag. Ubisoft wants a win because it needs one. Investors want proof that the company can still move attention and money. That does not mean the remake is fake. It means the remake is carrying more pressure than a normal fan service revival. It is not just a game coming back. It is Ubisoft leaning on one of its strongest memories, because the present is not selling confidence. That is the takeaway. That pressure also explains the audience response. Some players are excited, because Black Flag is Black Flag, and the listed improvements sound worthwhile. Some players are interested but cautious, because they want to see how the final package actually lands. Some players are already saying they will wait for a discount, because the missing content and the pricing make day one trust look stupid. Some players are angry because they think Ubisoft is once again dressing subtraction up as polish. Those reactions are not contradictions. They are what happens when a publisher offers a product with real appeal and real reasons for skepticism at the same time. That is the takeaway. Players want the remake, but they do not automatically trust the seller. This is the point where the anger belongs, because now the facts are already on the table. The problem with so much modern commentary is that it starts angry before it starts useful. Then it mistakes noise for clarity. This story does not need that. Ubisoft did the work for the critics already. The company announced one of the safest remake ideas it could possibly announce, and still found a way to make people argue about price, trust, and missing content before launch. That is not bad luck. That is what happens when people have been trained to expect the catch. That is the takeaway. And honestly, people have every right to be annoyed. Stop removing old value and calling it focus. Stop charging premium prices and acting confused when buyers inspect the package like adults. Stop spraying soft corporate language over hard trade-offs and expecting applause because the water looks prettier. Players are not dumb. They can read a feature list. They can read a price tag. They can read an omission too. If multiplayer is gone and DLC is gone, say it clearly and accept that people will judge the remake on that basis. Do not act like the audience is unreasonable for noticing that a full price return comes with a shorter old menu. The strongest version of this story is not that Ubisoft ruined Black Flag. That is lazy and too easy. The stronger version is that Ubisoft announced a remake people genuinely want, attached real improvements to it, then undercut part of that goodwill with premium pricing, reported missing content, and a reputation that makes every promise harder to trust. That is a stronger argument, because it actually matches the evidence. The remake may still be good. It may even be very good. But Ubisoft has packaged it in the most Ubisoft way possible. Enough real effort to create hope, enough missing value to create suspicion, and enough pricing confidence to make the whole thing feel like a stress test of how much goodwill the brand still has left. So if the title promises a breakdown, this is the breakdown. July 9 release date, standard deluxe and collector pricing, real gameplay and technical upgrades, reported removal of multiplayer and DLC, a wider business backdrop shaped by financial pressure, a fanbase split between interest and distrust. That is the case. The rant only comes after that, because now it has a foundation. Ubisoft is asking players to buy back a memory at modern rates, while accepting a leaner total package from a publisher that has not earned blind trust. Of course people are angry. They are not reacting to smoke. They are reacting to a pattern. That is why this turned into an argument so fast. The facts are simple, but the baggage is heavy. Ubisoft picked its safest remake, and still made buyers feel like they should check their pockets before saying thank you. Assassin's Creed Core ACV Voyager's Revenge